Hi guys, we're going to go ahead and make some homemade dog food today. We got some chicken livers, gizzards, hearts, some broth, sweet potatoes, and some jasmine rice. We're going to take our hearts, throw them in the blender. We're going to chop those up until they look kind of like a ground meat. Then we're going to do the same thing with the gizzards and the chicken thighs. We're going to just throw all that meat in one bowl, chop up some sweet potatoes, and then we're going to go ahead and start cooking. We're going to put our livers in the pan, make sure they're nice and soft, throw the rest of the meat in there. Then we'll throw some spices. We got some thyme, some oregano, and a little bit of sage. These are my homegrown herbs. I grow them in a hydro garden, so I really like doing that, and it's good for my dog. So I'll make sure all my meat's cooked very well. You can tell that the meat has rendered down and cooked into a well-done state when you have liquid in your pan. You'll probably end up with about a cup of liquid from the meat because obviously chicken does have water in it. And so that's when I know that most of the meat is done. I'll just continue stirring, making sure I get everything from the bottom of the pan to make sure that everything has been cooked fully, so that way I don't make my dog sick. Obviously, we have to make sure things are fully cooked. I know there are dogs that eat raw, but my dog's not used to that, so I just don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and check the liquid. We have enough liquid in there. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw in our sweet potatoes. I just chopped them into probably like half-inch cubes. Nothing fancy. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and stir those in really well just to make sure that everything's incorporated fully all the way to the bottom of the pan. You don't want to not mix all the way to the bottom of the pan because then your ingredients will cook unevenly and the stuff that's at the bottom of the pan isn't going to cook as well as the stuff that's at the top, or vice versa, whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter. Anyways, you're just going to stir the shit. Just stir it and make sure that it's really good and it's stirred very nicely. And then once you determine that you could do that very well, and then you add your rice. So we're going to go and just throw in a cup and a half of rice, and then we're going to get ready to put in 5 half cups of our chicken broth. I use chicken broth. I try to use low sodium because, sodium's not very good, and I don't want my dog to get all bloaty, so I do use the low sodium chicken broth for her. And so we'll go ahead and throw in our 5 half cups of chicken broth. If you mess up, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. Now, what I suggest is after you add your liquid and then you have made sure everything is well incorporated, rice is stirred all the way to the bottom, everything looks good, you have your lid on it, what you're going to do is you're going to boil it or semi-boil it on about a 6 or a 7 or medium high heat. That way you can evaporate a majority of the liquid. If you don't evaporate a majority of the liquid in your pan here, what you're going to end up is a sloppy mush mess, and you don't want that, and I'm pretty sure your dog's not going to really appreciate that, although I don't think they'll care. They're just going to eat it anyways. But you're going to go ahead and every 5 to 10 minutes you want to, look at the liquid in your pan and to determine whether or not you need to turn your liquid down. So I usually cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes on about a 6 or a 7, and then I'll turn it down to a 3 to finish evaporating the rest of the liquid. And once that's done, I'll go ahead and turn it all the way down to low and move it off the burner so it can just finish, steaming itself.